Are you really making a moral equivalent to kneeling during the national anthem of not being able to, of Rosa Parks in the 1960s?
Look, I agree. Oppression is oppression, and I believe...
What? Oh my God.
Go ahead.
First of all, do you mind if I film the question? I just want to...
No, you're good. Whatever.
All right. So, obviously...
We got plenty of cameras here, so you're not the only one.
I just want to have it. But, like, obviously I'm a big Kaepernick guy. I think that he's a patriot based on my definition of a patriot, of sacrificing something large in order to help the greater good of the country. And he's sacrificed his... All right.
Easy, Mahoney. Let him talk.
All right. Military. All right.
No, let him talk.
Charlie,
it's a viewpoint
if
held
you have
by...
a question,
it's
get
a
on
view
the
held by a
stairs.
lot of Americans, so I want to hear what he has to say.
So, can we...
Let's define the word patriot. Because I really, am curious. Patriot definition. A person who vigorously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies or detractors. Colin Kaepernick? And I don't want people to think oh, you hate Colin Kaepernick. No, that's not what I'm saying. But for you to say this dude is a patriot, his synonyms are loyalist and nationalist. A person who vigorously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies or detractors. If anything, I'm going by the definition. If anything, Colin Kaepernick would literally be the opposite of a patriot. He would be a detractor. But I'm not a politician or nothing, so don't quote me for it. But by definition, he's not a patriot. No offense to Colin Kaepernick or this young man.
So,
It's a legitimate viewpoint. I want to hear what he has to say.
To dispel him, can we agree that going to war for your country isn't the only way to be a patriot?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So, you've been criticizing, at least what I saw on Twitter, the kneeling
Yes.
of the NFL players. But
Yes.
what I've seen since the kneeling is more social activism within the athlete community. A lot of money has been raised. Chris Long recently has donated his entire season game check after kneeling. Colin Kaepernick donated $1 million to many things, including Know Your Rights Camp. I just want to know, what would you say is more important? Helping Black people and equality in this country, or standing for the anthem when many terrible people who I would never consider patriots stand for the anthem? So I don't think that it's as much of a symbol as loving your country as actively doing something to help it, like Colin Kaepernick has done.
Okay, so...
You can do both, but I don't think...
I don't
think you have to stand for the anthem to love your country.
So here's the one thing I will say. I want to make it very clear. Not once do I think they should be forced to stand for the anthem. I think they should be able to voluntarily do whatever they wish to do. I think they're making fools of themselves, quite honestly. And I think that the criticism towards them is warranted and right. And so when you have an act of civil disobedience during the national anthem, in protest of what exactly? No, tell me.
Yeah, they are protesting because they feel that Black people are oppressed in this country in ways including education. There's education oppression. There's been housing discrimination still going on in this country. There's police brutality, which is still an issue in this country. Mm-hmm. There's lack of accountability for police when they do commit crimes. And that's what they've been
So you believe during the national anthem, the song that represents the very fabric of this country is the appropriate time to do that in front of the flag, in front of veterans saluting? You feel that's appropriate?
I am not...
I want to make sure you're...
Here's my thing. When it comes to stuff like this, if Colin Kaepernick's goal is to really protest, because I don't even know what he was protesting, if I'm being 100% honest. I haven't looked into it. But if his goal was to protest the unjust treatment of African Americans in the country, or our lack of support in, for example, school care, stuff like that, you do have to garner a lot of attention in those situations. For example, if you want to really protest something, you need to make sure people are watching you, because that's what a protest is. Make sure people are watching you. The problem that I see is when, for example, you don't stand for the flag. It's going to bring a lot of a negative attention, not even for the reasons that you think. For example, Colin Kaepernick, the reasons he was protesting for, let's say he wanted more support for African American schools. That's what this young man just said. I don't know if that's a reason. But when you kneel for the flag, people who may have supported you or who support your ideology, like, yeah, support that system, they're just going to look at you like you're a fool because they're like, why are you kneeling for the flag? I have family members who fought for this flag. That's the problem, bro. That's the problem I have. When you do something like that, you're dividing people who probably would have supported you if you just approached it in a different way. So in these type of situations, I see why you would want to do it, but in my opinion, it's kind of a foolish thing to do, because like people who probably would have supported you, you just completely lost them 100%. People who were willing to listen to you, they not willing to listen to nothing you got to say right now. Like that's the biggest problem. Like if he would have just did his own research, had a campaign ready for something like that, it probably would have been a different story. I don't know. I don't look into stuff like this, but I'm just giving my personal opinion.
Position is clear.
Yeah, I am not going to tell someone how to protest.
Me neither. I'm asking you if you think it's right.
I think it's right, yes.
You do?
Yes. I believe that get your message out when most people are watching something, most people can hear your message and you can help the most people. People were telling, like Rosa Parks, the bus is not a place to voice your criticism.
Are you really equating modern day protesting of to blacks not being able to vote? Really?
No, it's not the same. This is where I draw the line, bro. And I hate when people try to do this. You're really equating Rosa Parks, us not having the ability to vote, to sit where we want on a freaking bus, to Colin Kaepernick. And I'm not trying to denounce what he's done. I haven't even looked into fully what he's done. But you are just straight delusional if you think Rosa freaking Parks and Colin Kaepernick are on the same level of importance in black history. That is not even, I don't even know how you can, Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness. My people having to sit in the back of buses, not being able to vote, not having civil rights, literally not having the same exact rights as someone solely because of our skin color, is the same as Colin Kaepernick, a rich millionaire NFL football player, kneeling during an anthem. Like, are you serious? This is why I can't really take this type of stuff too seriously, because it's kind of like a joke to me.
You're equating no, seriously.
I believe that oppression...
Are you really making a moral equivalent to kneeling during the national anthem of not being able to, of Rosa Parks in the 1960s?
Look, I agree. Oppression is oppression, and I believe that any sort of protest against oppression is something that is a patriotic act, and unless it crosses way more lines, like physically harming people, you should...
So he just said, Charlie Kirk asked him, do you agree that they're basically on the same level of moralities? This dude said, oppression is oppression. Oh my goodness. And you see, you're trying to be, I guess, an advocate for black people right now. But if you ever said something like this is extremely disrespectful. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, you're trying to be an advocate for black people right now, but what you said was extremely disrespectful. You're gonna sit here and say that oppression is oppression. I mean, what else do you want? Like, yeah, you're basically implying that he's on the equivalent of Rosa Parks. He's on the equivalent of Harriet Tubman. I mean, oppression is oppression. I mean, you're trying to escape slavery. I mean, he's kneeling for a flag on his $1 million football team. Oppression is oppression. It's all the same. Really? Is that what you're really saying right now?
Should not be told not to do something that helps people.
No, I agree. I'm not telling they shouldn't be doing it. I think they're fools.
I don't think that they're fools.
And people have bled and died for that flag. And that flag represents more than just a fabric. Let me be perfectly clear.
Yes, it does. It's into me.
You've said your piece. Now it's time for mine. Let me say my piece. The flag and this country have and will continue to be the greatest symbol of freedom, both domestically and internationally, all around the world. Have always been. The flag of the United States of America symbolizes a couple different things. The white for the peace that we strive here domestically, and the blood of the veterans that died internationally for our freedoms and liberties. So when athletes, who quite honestly, I would be hard pressed to understand why they believe that is an appropriate time for them to protest. I believe it goes directly insulting to the very fabric of the veteran community, to what the flag stands for, and what this country has always stood for. But more than that, the oppression that they are talking about, is kneeling really the best way to address it? Seriously. No, I'm how about they give away 90% of their money to local charitable groups? Why don't they run for office? Why don't they raise more money to do it? Why don't they start a business?
Those are good. And here's my thing, bro. When it comes to stuff like that, kneeling is one of your rights, I guess, in the Constitution or whatever. You do have, it's like, I think it falls under freedom of speech, freedom of, I don't know. You're allowed to do it. But my thing is, if you are a millionaire black athlete, you are a role model. And I know people are like, well, athletes aren't role models. They are literally role models. Like, you're at the pinnacle of, I guess, success for a lot of young people who look up to you. Like, people look up to you. These kids are looking up to you, like, believe it or not. And whoever says they're not, you're lying. Your kid, your son, they're probably looking up to these athletes, even if you don't think they are. So yeah, you are a role model. And when they see you do stuff like that, because this is how simple kids think. They're like, wow, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should be protesting stuff like that too. Maybe I should just not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in class. Maybe if my teacher tells me to do something, I shouldn't do it. That's how kids think. Let's be 100. So when you try to think of it as like stuff like that, when you're trying to help these kids, when you are protesting like that, and like on a stage where kids are watching you, and you're doing it, I guess, ironically for the same kids, you're not helping in the way that you think you're helping. I'm not going to sit here and say that what he did was completely unhelpful, because honestly, I have not looked into it. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, it was, no, I don't know. Y'all would probably know better than I would know. But all I'm saying is I do think there's better ways. I don't know if what he did was 100% wrong, but I do think there is better ways to do it without disrespecting an entire community. Like, you're disrespecting veterans. Your issue don't even have nothing to do with veterans, but a whole group of veterans is pissed off at you just by the way you approached it. You didn't even, like, that's all I'm saying, bro. Like, you didn't even have to do that. But anyways, I'm not gonna get too much into it. Let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. And I'll see y'all next time.